Welcome back to the Basketball Fix podcast stream. My name's Ryan Tucker. I'm one third of the Basketball Fix crew. And this is a new series we're kicking off this week. It's called Path to Pro, where we look at the NBL Next Stars program, follow it all the way through the season, and hopefully talk to some people involved, players, managers, GMs, everyone involved, to kind of get a bit more of an insight into this Next Star program and help deliver some more content around these players out into the basketball landscape. Now, I am a quite new kind of viewer to the NBL. Again, I followed the league as a young kid living in Australia and then moved to Europe, and out of sight, out of mind initially for the NBL. I followed the NBA. I followed it for a number of years. I'm a tragic Clippers supporter, wearing the hat right now if you're watching on the YouTube. But I'm getting back into the NBL, and I think this program is one of the reasons why I've fallen back in love with the NBL. Not only the on-court fantastic play that there is in the NBL, but the pathways and the people involved that make this a successful league. And in our eyes here at the Basketball Fix, the second best league in the world behind the NBA. So this Path to Pro series will, again, cover everything to do with Next Stars. So if you have some ideas, thoughts, stuff you would like us to cover, then don't be afraid to get in touch with us either on Instagram at the Basketball Fix podcast or through our YouTube, Facebook channels. Hit us up. We also have a website at thebasketballfix.com. So check out everything you can check out there, and don't be afraid to get in touch to let us know what you want to see or hear more of in the future. Now, Next Stars program. If you're like me, quite new, maybe you're wondering about, okay, what is the Next Stars program and why should I worry about it? The Next Stars program, I would say it's a pretty innovative player development pathway, and it's very unique to the NBL. It's only here that this type of program is happening. Obviously in the US and in the lead up to an NBA career, a lot of players are going through college, and some are coming maybe through the G League. The G League, they got rid of their G League Ignite team before last season. So that kind of pathway has fallen out. So initially, really, if you're a young player wanting to get into the NBA, your pathways are quite limited. It's going to college, maybe to Europe, or now, this NBL Next Stars program. So it's a pretty cool thing. So if you're an NBA draft or eligible talent for the NBA draft, you're looking for a place to showcase your talents, to be able to train and dedicate your time and efforts to being drafted in an upcoming NBA draft. That's what you can do here. So this program can fast track development and opportunities for young talent to be eligible for that NBA draft. When they come to Australia, they get specialist training, they get the exposure of being in the second best league in the world, dedicated housing, they get to spend a summer in Australia or 2 summers in Australia, which is fantastic. And then you see the track record as well of players that have been drafted coming out of this Next Stars program and the NBL. So it is gaining a lot of traction, and a lot of eyes are starting to turn towards the NBL and the Next Stars program. Now, the history of the Next Stars, where did it all come from? Well, it kind of grew out of a little bit of an idea from when Terence Ferguson was signed by the Adelaide 36ers back in the 16-17 season, I believe it was. So he was in college for a year, and he kind of didn't want to go back and was trying to look at his options. And the 36ers reached out and put a lot of effort in, and eventually recruited him over to play in that 16-17 season. And he was a hit. He was fantastic in that team. And he, had a lot of eyes on him. It was heavily recruited across the college landscape. And coming to Australia, those eyes turned here, and he put up some fantastic numbers in that season. He was picked at number 21 in the 2017 draft and had a pretty rich career, was having a rich career in the NBA. Was a G League champion in the 2022 season as well. So, a fantastic effort by Terence Ferguson. But that planted the seed in about, okay, what could we do in the NBL to take advantage of this type of situation? And then in the 2018-19 season, that's when it officially kicked off with RJ Hampton and LaMelo Ball as two kind of very high profile recruitments to the program that season. And then, it's just gone from there, hasn't it? It's some fantastic players that have come out of the Next Star program. You got guys like, Josh Giddey, Alex Sarr that went number 2 last year, AJ Johnson to the Bucks as well. There's a lot of talent coming out of this Next Star program, which is fantastic to see. And it's only going to get bigger and stronger as time goes. Let's look a bit further back as well to this Next Star. I'm just pulling up some numbers here. So last year in the NBL24, it was the biggest Next Star crop, you would say, since the program began. 8 players from 5, 6, 7 different countries: Australia, US, Lithuania, Germany, Sweden, and France, all played in this Next Star program in the 2023-24 season, NBL 24. And amazingly, 4 players got drafted into NBA teams. Alex Sarr, as I said, went number 2 to the Washington Wizards, and that made history as the highest draft pick to come from an NBL team. AJ Johnson went to number 23 to the Bucks. The Swedish player Bobby Klintman picked up also at number 37, went to the Detroit Pistons. Ariel Hukporti played for Melbourne United. He went to the New York Knicks with pick number 58. Then you also had Trenton Flowers, that was not drafted so he was from the 36ers as well, not drafted, but was eventually picked up by the LA Clippers and signed to a 2-way deal. There was some problems there with his contract, which didn't allow him to play in the summer league, which as a Clippers supporter and as an NBL supporter, I'm very disappointed in the efforts there, but hopefully he'll be able to apply his trade over with the Clippers this coming season. Now, that's the history of of the Next Stars. And the next kind of question that follows on from there is, why do we have this Next Star program? What benefit is it to the team? What benefit is to the league? What benefits are there to the players involved? Now, if we look first at the league and the team, so these guys that are coming into play here are fantastic talents. They're possibly generational talents on a basketball landscape, and especially in the Australian basketball landscape. So fantastic young athletes with bright futures and can contribute to these teams in the NBL straight away, and they can play serious minutes and put up serious numbers. So that is kind of to the team on the basketball part of the program. And you look at the economics of it as well for teams and for the league. These guys are drawing massive attention. So it's eyes, and eyes equals money. And we all know that the professional sports associations all love the money. So the goal here is from an operational standpoint for a team or a league, you want to get one of these talents in, you want to nurture their talents, develop them as a player, and then hopefully get them drafted, which will then bring you a massive cash windfall to your team to turn around, do it all again, spend that money on your club to improve your chances to win an NBL title in the near future. Other than that, you kind of look at, as I said, the exposure, and this all helps each other. So if you're a Next Star player coming in, you already have eyes from you, maybe from the college scene, from high school, whatever it could be, you are gaining exposure in the second best league in the world, but you're also giving the exposures you're bringing with you to the other Next Stars or to the league itself, and everyone's just helping each other grow. So it's a fantastic kind of win-win situation for the players, for the league, to have these guys involved on court within these teams. Now, what's in it for the player, you may ask? Well, I will tell you. Why would you want to be a Next Star? And it's kind of what I've just been on about, the exposure, the dedicated training. So you come to Australia, you're paired up with a team that needs your kind of skill set. So we have the GM of recruitment for this Next Star program, Liam Santamaria. Hopefully we can talk to him sometime through the season. He works solely just to kind of find these players, figure out their skill sets, watch them for a number of years through high school and maybe to the start of college, and then look at the NBL landscape and say, okay, what do what does the Illawarra Hawks need, or what do the 36ers need this season or the next coming seasons, and find that skill set to pair up a player with a team where it's, again, a win-win situation. So these players will come in, they will fulfill a need within the team, whether it's shooting or distribution or size or whatever it could be. And at the same time, receive that specialist training from specialist coaches in this number 2 league in the world. They get housing, they get the Aussie summer, which is fantastic if you're a young kind of player. If you're from Australia, then you're enjoying it already. But if you're coming from overseas, it's a fantastic opportunity to see more of the world and, work and play while doing it. So it's a fantastic opportunity. The NBL have brought in some good names and connected a few names to this Next Stars program. One of them is Kenny Smith. So he's widely known in the NBA media landscape, and he's the player initiative. So he's kind of like the portal between the NBA and the NBL world, and trying to set these players up to come to Australia. So as he puts it, I'm going to quote him here: the Next Star program is the pathway for a young man who feels that his skills are higher than college, but also want to keep his draft stock, and also wants to learn to be a pro earlier. So if you're a player in college, a basketball player, and you feel like, okay, well, I'm better than college, but you're not quite at draft level yet, or you want to improve your skills before you go into the draft to have a chance to get into a better team or higher up in the draft, then this is the pathway for you, as Kenny Smith would say. It's an opportunity like no other. So if you're that young player, you can continue to play at college, and you're in there with the hundreds of other teams that you have in that college landscape. You could possibly pick up a G League contract, but getting out of the G League into an NBA team is a tough journey. You can go to the Euro League, but they're not going to nurture you and give you the opportunities that the NBL does. So it's the only league in the world where you actively take in a player to then get them drafted within essentially the next year or two, which is, it's amazing, the concept of it. But it is a fantastic opportunity if you are a player to come to this Next Star program, develop your skills, and hopefully move on to an NBA career in a very, very near future. Now let's take a look at the players that will participate in the NBL25 Next Stars program. We're going to start off with Rocco Zakarski, playing for the Brisbane Bullets. 220 centimetre, 103 kilo Aussie larrikin, heading into his second year in the Next Star program for the Bullets. He made history as the youngest player to participate in the program when he signed on at just 16 years of age last year. He'll be nominating for the upcoming draft in 2025 and is expected to go as a first-round pick. Earlier in the season, this year, The Athletic actually had Zakarski at number 18 on their mock drafts, which is pretty high for Zakarski, which is fantastic. He'll continue to ply his trade for the Bullets this season, hopefully gaining more minutes than he did last year to continue to develop. He was part of the 2022 FIBA Under-17 World Cup team, which he was a fantastic player in. And then earlier this year, in the Albert Schweitzer tournament, which is the global under-18s tournament. It's not an official FIBA tournament, but it is sanctioned by FIBA. Australia won that tournament, and Rocco was the MVP there. So, a fantastic effort from Rocco, and we're looking forward to seeing him more this season. And we'll dive into Rocco, his history, and his playing a little bit further on as we go through the Path to Pro program here. Alex Tui, another Aussie playing for the Sydney Kings, a very, very good prospect in the upcoming NBA draft. He withdrew his eligibility for last season to get another year under his belt in the NBL with the Kings, which I think is a great idea for him. Another guy that can continue to grow and develop to increase his worth on the draft boards to next season. 6'8" forward, was part of the NBA Global Academy and participated in the Nike Hoop Summit last year before joining the NBL24 Next Stars program. He was MVP of the 2022 Under-20 Australian Junior Champs. and was part of the World Cup qualifiers for Australia heading into that. So it'll be interesting to watch Tui, and especially how he kind of fits into the Sydney Kings team that is fully loaded, you could say the least. The next one we have on the list is Karim Lopez. Now, Karim coming from not Spain, he comes from, from Mexico. Dropped his profile out of my computer. Also very young, 17 years old. So he'll be playing for 2 seasons for the New Zealand Breakers, which is good for them with a lot of roster movement on the Breakers team. Karim will be coming in, and you'll have the 2 years with him to grow and develop, and he'll contribute to this team already from the get-go. He's a 6'8" wing, very versatile, and is known to be a great defender. Length, athleticism, some of the things that he'll be bringing with him to the Breakers team. And as I said, the defense is something that he himself has said that he really wants to knuckle down and contribute to the team on the defensive end. So very talented, has also played on the international scene with Mexico. So it'll be interesting to follow Karim for the New Zealand Breakers. Up next, Izan Almansa. Izan coming from Spain, and he'll be playing with the Perth Wildcats this season. And the Next Stars kind of bio, they call him one of the most decorated youth players in international basketball. So obviously the Perth Wildcats loving the eyes and the quality of player that they're bringing in off the back of Alex Sarr, who went number 2 in the draft last season. Izan will be coming in and filling that role. He's hasn't played a lot of preseason games at all, to be honest, but I think they're probably saving him for the season. As a young guy, I don't want to overload too early. He was named the MVP of the Under-17 World Cup in 2022, and even of the Under-18 World Cup, European Championships, and the Under-19 World Cup last season. So fantastic accolades for Izan, and will be interesting to see him follow his career with the NBL Next Stars and the Perth Wildcats. Last but not least, Malik Lewis. Now, Malik has a bit of a different journey to the NBL Next Star Program. He's coming from Trinidad and Tobago, and he's the first player from that nation to participate in the program. Very highly touted, currently projected as the 2nd round pick in the 2025 NBA draft, but an impact defender, has a lot of athleticism and can shoot from the perimeter, which is, great for Southeast Melbourne, who have struggled a bit on the offensive end, and if we're going to be frank, on the defensive end. Has played for Mexico City Capitanes in the NBA G League. So he has had some experience playing against, real basketball players, against men, and that'll come in handy for the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix as they try to lift themselves off the bottom of the NBL ladder. Now, that's it for the introductory episode of the Path to Pro NBL Next Stars series. As I said, we'll be dropping in week to week following these 5 players as they play the NBL 25 season. If there is anything you want us to touch on regarding the NBL Next Stars, don't be afraid again to get in touch through our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Write to us wherever you can, and let us know what you want to see. But that's it for today. Thanks for listening or watching, and enjoy your weekend.